Hey everybody, Chuck here again. Hope you're having a great day here. This video we're gonna get kind of where we're hoping to get to is where we design and test out the solutions in our new transformation heading into that to be state we want to go. Uh, Usual disclaimers at the beginning, Chuck opinion piece, doing this to help myself prepare, learn for my exam, wanting to share with it, with you, of course, as always, to hopefully it helps supplement your learning. And again, it's a Chuck opinion, it's not a stated ASCM position as well. We're not using ASCM PowerPoints in this process. So we're looking at getting started here. We're looking at the designing and testing of solutions. And so there's a couple main elements that go into that. First one being, in the design and test the solutions, we want to architect our supply chain solution. So what does that mean? Big word, architect. It really means this is where we're building our new supply chain processes. Once we build the tentative process, then we're going to mock up and prototype the process and flow. We're going to build the model and the simulations, and then we're going to put a pilot project together and execute it. So that's the main points, but let's go a little deeper into each one. So as we go into the first one, building the processes or the new supply chain process, let's recognize these are the projects that have made it through the prior approvals. We can now design their value streams in greater detail. And what we mean by value streams, we're talking about the extended or the whole supply chain process that's involved in bringing products or services together. We're not looking at a specific area only in isolation of everything else, but we're looking at it as a stream as a whole. Okay. Another caution also, we want creative solutions, definitely. We want people to think outside the box, but at the same time, we've got pieces we can build upon. So no one should be expected to build all the processes from scratch. Okay, we've got pieces we can build upon. As we're going through, we should also keep in mind that we got to put together a narrative description of each process. Here's what the process is doing. Here's why. Here's the impact it has on us. This is necessary documentation. And I think as we've all run into, documentation isn't always the most fun thing to do, but it really is required if we're going to capture the knowledge and be able to train everybody consistently on the right way to do things. So now to that second piece where we're mocking up and prototyping the processes. Um, it can typically take the form of a conference room pilot or a conference room simulation, walking through or role playing exercises, but we're trying to put together a first pass of what it's going to look like so we can work with it and test it out. And so the purpose of this prototyping is proving feasibility, getting feedback, improving the process, walking through each steps of the process. And so it's almost as if we are learning our lines for a play, if you want to call it. We're trying to see how the whole thing paces out. Then there's the modeling and the simulation part. Typically, if it involves an ERP system, lots of information systems really, we've got to select options that decide how the system's going to perform, how it's going to do transactions, and et cetera. Most of the time, if not always, or I should say they better have, those softwares better have an implementation guide that explains what does what. And if you move this lever, this is what it means. So we can look at what we want to do versus what the system's going to do and decide, are they working in harmony? Are they working opposing each other? So we need that guide at the same process too. At this same point also, we've got to recognize, we got to roll out training and documentation. If we're going to train others, we've got to decide not only what those steps are, and then we're going to try them out, but we better document it for a couple reasons. One, when we're doing the pilot testing, we know people are following the script, not just for the script, but we've got some control over how the testing's done. So if something does not work, we don't get into, oh, I did that one differently. We've done it the same way, and we can isolate that there's a problem with the system or our process. And at the same time, we've got to start preparing people to do this down the road long term. So we've got to start training them. We've got to have the documentation to train them in the work instructions. So when they get outside the controlled environment and into the real world practice, they've got something backstopping them. Once we've configured the environment we're going to prototype in, then we're going to use that for testing solutions, because we've got that baseline sandbox, I think is what they call it in the material, kind of our playground, but this is the environment we're going to test everything within. And so we can test the validity of what we want to do against a baseline system that we've agreed is going to be out there in the real world. We finally get to the pilot project, and really what a pilot project is it is a test, certainly, but it's also a test and fully a full implementation, but it's just small in scope. Because if this works, we're saying this is how we're going to do business. And if it doesn't do what we need, we're going to tweak it, and then we're going to pilot it again until we get it to where we need it to be. So we tend to have, it is fully operational, even though we're testing it out, but we're staying small in scope so we can manage that at the same time. So it's dealing with a to-be process. It's testing out how we want to solve this one, but again, on a small scale. So it can be a test for a small geographic area, could be for a single team, single facility, single production area, single family of products, but it's narrow in scope so we can turn around and have kind of bite-sized chunks, if you want to call it, that we can test out and then put that piece of puzzle into the whole puzzle and continue to build out everything that we're doing.